It's a great day to be alive and an artist. My name is Matt with the Hat, and today I am going to talk to you about perfectionism. Now, I've got to tell you, I haven't met many artists that don't suffer from perfectionism. Perfectionism is the sneaky tyrant that says it has to be perfect in order for you to do any good. Okay. Perfectionism can be disguised as excellence, but really it is a major creative block. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that. I'm going to talk to you about perfectionism, how to overcome perfectionism, and how it may rear its ugly head. So perfectionism. I remember when I was doing one of my early productions, it was Romeo and Juliet, actually. I love the show. I want to tell you how much I prepared for the show. Okay. I prepared for that show. I went through the script countless times. I had a vision for my show. It changed, of course. They always change. But at that point, I didn't have the experience to know that that was what was going to happen. And so I'm directing Romeo and Juliet. I go through the script. I prepared so much that I have Romeo and Juliet memorized, at least my cutting of it, which was, I think, 2.5 hours long. I have the script memorized, and I went through it beat by beat, moment by moment. I designed the set for it. I designed a lot of the lighting for it. I wrote every little piece of blocking out. I pre-blocked it. I don't pre-block anymore. Like it is a good practice when you're a young director, but I don't do it. I don't do that anymore. And and so what happens is with perfectionism, if anything changes with your vision, it creates this insecurity and creates this fear. Luckily, I had a good mentor at the time, my mentor Mark, that I've talked to you about, and he said perfectionism is the enemy of excellence, and we are striving for excellence, not perfection. I'm going to repeat that. We are striving for excellence, not perfection. So a lot of us who are blocked creatives, what happens is we'll start a project and we are excited and we're like, yay, I'm writing this script. Yay, I'm writing this song. Yay, I am playing this role or whatever, right? And we start out and we have this exuberant passion that comes out. And then the censor, the cop in the head, the inner critic comes in and says, that's not good enough. You need to do this. You need to do that. And because that inner critic comes in, many of us stop doing the work entirely. Our creative thing, the thing that we are excited about, that brings out our joy in that project, we kill because we say, someone else didn't do it this way. I must be wrong. Or I'm not executing it on the first day of rehearsal. I'm gonna fail, or I am a failure, or it's not good enough. So let me dispel a couple of things. I want to say something that is very, very important to everyone, and that is an artwork is never finished. Again, I'm going to repeat that. An artwork is never finished. What you're going to do and what you're going to find is you can let that cop in the head go over and over. And every time you think it's finished, what the cop in the head will say is it'll say, but what about this one thing? I think it was about 2 years now. I co-wrote the play Resurrection X, and I'm going to have a whole video on that. I co-wrote Resurrection X, and I had my partner helped editing it, and I co-wrote it with my mom. And the thing that I contributed to it is there was a lot of, when we were writing it, there was a lot of that word has to be perfect. And this is before we even had our first draft. And so what I did, because I've had some experience in this realm, is I went and I wrote a complete first draft. And maybe it wasn't the smartest on a collaborative level, but I wrote a first draft. And the first draft, it wasn't the best draft. It wasn't where we ended. I told you I'm on like my ninth draft of Pop's Wrestling School, which I'm going to talk about soon. I'm really excited about. But that first draft, then we start to edit. And again, people would obsess over this certain phrase. And I'm like, we've got to get to a workable draft. And we can, in our particular process, we could fix the thing, even if we were in rehearsal, because even during rehearsal, if you've ever been in a show that you're using an original script, rehearsal, the script changes because you start hearing the voices different. You start doing all of this kind of stuff. And so what I saw was perfectionism was getting in the way of our creative team. And I was continually the person that says, we've got to do it. So, but if you are writing something, if you are painting something, finish the first draft. Don't look at the old stuff. Get inspired, do all of that. Go, finish. And then you got the time to rewrite. Then you got the time to edit. Then you got the time to add with your paints. But not showing up is a sign of blockage. It's a sign of I'm not good enough too. It's a sign of I am not enough. You are enough, right? Art is a craft. It takes time. It takes patience. And if you don't allow yourself the ability to be a beginner, right? When you're a kid and you start to make art, it is wacky, right? It's representational based on no experience, but you're just having fun. You don't immediately know that if you combine all of your crayons, it's going to turn into that funky brown, right? And so it's really important to get into that mentality of, instead of thinking, how can this sell? Thinking, what is the story that I want to tell? What is the picture that I want to create? And sometimes, and I got to tell you, when I'm a painter, I'm really like this. I feel a color and I'm just going to go with it and then let it evolve. Right. And this is the way to overcome perfectionism. It's to enjoy the process, not the product. I get in trouble from some people because, like in interviews, they want me, if I'm working on a youth show or something like that. People want to say I'm only a process director. No, I'm a process and a product director. I want my product to be good. I don't want it to be perfect, but I want it to be excellent because it helps the actors feel confident because they go, I performed this and I'm celebrated. But the process is the most important thing. And when you are painting, especially as a beginner, when you are acting, especially as a beginner, enjoy the process of learning, enjoy the light bulb going off, enjoy letting your emotions come through. Because if you get nitpicky on your mistake and you let the cop in the head take over, you won't achieve what you want to achieve. All right. So what I want you to do today, I'm going to give you a couple of exercises to do. The first exercise is I want you to draw with your non-dominant hand, just for fun. Give yourself a little bit of time. Draw whatever you want with your non-dominant hand. You can have markers, you can have colors, pens, pencils. I don't care, right? Whatever floats your boat, draw with your non-dominant hand. Have fun. No stakes. You're not going to show this to anyone, but just see what happens when you draw with your non-dominant hand. I also like to write with my non-dominant hand. A lot of interesting stuff comes out, things that I want that are buried beneath the surface. My non-dominant hand will help me do that. The next thing that I want you to do is I want you to find that piece of art that you've started. All right. You may have, I know people that have catalogs of hundreds of songs, have multiple plays that they've written. I've got a book I've started, right? Um, and my challenge to you is to work 5 minutes a day and just get the thing done, right? As you're writing, you're going to have ideas and you're going to be like, oh, I could fix this scene. Oh, I could fix this part of the story. Don't fix it. Don't fix it. Write the draft. Write the draft. Get a draft, because once you get the draft in, then when you go to rewriting and editing, you're going to have the opportunity to do those things, and you're going to and more ideas are going to spur on. Don't share these things with anyone. This is for you, okay? Don't share these at first, but I want to encourage you 5 minutes a day. Do a little bit of work. Do a little bit of work, 5 minutes a day. That's it. You can do a little bit more if you want to, but commit today to do 5 minutes. 5 minutes. And see what happens if every day you do 5 minutes of work. Maybe it'll extend to 10, 20, 30 minutes a day. I don't know. But what I do know is that art is not going to move forward if you keep going on the treadmill in a circle over and over and over, obsessing about what isn't there. Create and something will be there, right? The solutions, one of the things I want to say, in a process-based art environment, the solutions will come to you as you create. The epiphany never happens when someone's reading their lines at home. When I'm talking about actors, they're reading their lines at home and it sounds perfect in their head, and then they go and they perform it. It doesn't sound perfect anymore, right? But as you're in rehearsal, they're going through it. You're going through exercises with them. You're asking questions. We're going through all this. And then suddenly, ding, it hits. And when it hits, the art is created. And that part of the process is worth everything. It's worth more than the performance. It is the heart and soul of the art. Your mistakes are helping you get to the destination, right? Without a mistake I make on a painting, I got to tell you, one of my favorite things when I paint is I like to find the layer beneath, okay? And one of the things about the paintings is I'll have a mistake or something that's not working, and I paint over it, but I make sure there's a little bit there to see, because that mistake led me to the solution. And that goes with every art. Make your mistakes and find your bliss. You're amazing. I love you. Have a beautiful day.